I'd like to start this video by apologizing for not getting a video out sooner. After my last video, I ate some baked bads that gave me a whole new appreciation of Applebuck season. And it has made me view Applejack as the worst, most evil pony in all— No, I jest. In reality, she's one of my top 3, but in all seriousness, it wasn't a very fun time period, and in conjunction then with all my backup work and such to do, I've only really gotten the time now to get back to doing these. So I apologize. And I intend to get back to my mini-series that I was doing, but since then a couple episodes have come up that I feel would be good or would tie into ideas I've had that I'd like to discuss, and so now seems as good a time as any, so I will return to them. So today I'm going to be looking at simple ways. Now that's a little bit of a misnomer. I will talk about simple ways, but I had noticed something in prior episodes that I was going to discuss, and this episode highlights it perfectly, so I figure now is as good a time to talk about it as any. So the episode itself. I wasn't a huge fan. I thought it was better than Rarity Takes Manhattan, but I still didn't think it was a very good episode, for one fundamental reason. I couldn't believe Rarity's characterization. She acted in a way I could not imagine her acting. I literally cannot see Rarity degrading herself to the level she did in that episode. This is a pony who has a physical and mental aversion to getting dirty. That she'd willfully jump into mud, I cannot believe. And as such, it impairs my ability to actually enjoy the episode. I also had a problem with the way Applejack acted at the very end. I find it believable that she'd try to dress up and become what Rarity is, to try to snap her friend out of it, but I cannot believe she actually has the ability to do it. Learning to put on makeup and gussy yourself up like that is a skill. It takes practice. It takes training. Applejack doesn't like that. That's not the life she wants. She should have no idea how to do it. The fact that she could, kind of odd, but I'm willing to forgive that as cartoon logic. I also had a problem with the ending. It seemed a little contrived, that if the mud hadn't splattered just right, the ending would never have happened. But MLP seems to have a problem with good endings. I really like A Canterlot Wedding, but the ending there seems a little forced. MLP kind of has a tendency to have weaker endings, so I'll cut them some slack there. But I cannot cut them slack for, at least in my mind, really messing up the characterization of Rarity. And then there were some other issues I had with the episode, such as why was she even hired in the first place? I would have imagined this celebration would have been highlighting that which makes Ponyville great and unique, and Rarity doesn't really like Ponyville. If they had wanted something to highlight what makes Ponyville great, they would have not wanted someone who was going to do exactly what Rarity did. I find it hard to believe that Granny Smith supported Rarity for that position. Pinky would have been much better, Applejack would have been good, but unless Ponyville is trying to increase its reputation, making itself more chic, does not seem like something they'd be doing to celebrate Ponyville. So I had a problem with the premise, and I had a problem with the characterization. Not a good combo. That being said, it wasn't a horrible episode. It was meh. So that's my take on the episode. There are a couple other things. In particular, there was something there that had an impact on one of my prior theories. I'll discuss that in a later video, though. But this ties into something else I had noticed, or more precisely, 2 things I had noticed prior to this. And now seems a good time, because it's brought to the fore in this episode, to discuss that. Which is, firstly, Applejack and Rarity seem to be spending a lot of time together this season. Obviously, this episode was all about those two. They were the main characters there. But in other episodes, like Three's a Crowd, during their interactions, they appeared together. It was them Discord first went to take care of them. They got sick together, and then they came in together to scold Discord at the end. And this isn't exclusive to these 2 episodes. It seems like in many, if not most of the instances of them appearing, they're appearing together, or interacting together. Now, obviously, there are exceptions to this, Pinky Apple Pie being a perfect one, but by and large, they seem to be spending a lot of time together. And now one could say that this is continuity from Look Before You Sleep, but I have a hard time accepting that for 2 reasons. First, we didn't see them really acting this way in Season 1 and 2. And secondly, at the end of that episode, they kind of were in the position of, we can tolerate one another. They weren't exactly good friends, though. It seems unlikely that they're spending a bunch of time together is continuity from that episode. So if it's not continuity, then why are they spending so much time together? You would not naturally think these ponies would spend time together. They really are kind of the opposite. And yes, they say opposites attract, but Rarity doesn't spend a lot of time with Rainbow Dash. In fact, I have a hard time thinking of any instances where they were really interacting together exclusively. I think the only time they were really doing that was in Swarm of the Century back in Season 1. And then, of course, Fluttershy and Applejack have had about 2 really big interactions together. Once again, those ponies are kind of opposite, so why Rarity and Applejack, and why not Rarity and Rainbow Dash, or Fluttershy and Applejack? So, I have a theory, but I'm probably biased here, because Applejack and Rarity are in my top 3, but it kind of feels like that the crew has just kind of said, these are the ponies people don't particularly care for, let's just relegate them to background ponies. And yeah, well, sure, they'll make cameos around with the rest of the cast, but they'll come in, they'll do their bit, that's it. I don't want to believe that. I'd like to believe that these characters have more depth than that. I can't really think of another good explanation for why they're spending so much time together. But then this ties in to another point, and one that's a little bit more concerning than them spending time together, which is Rarity and Applejack seem to have lost character development. They seem to be caricatures of their former selves. What do I mean by this? Well, let's take Applejack. She's an easy example. Now, to be fair, Applejack has had some of the least depth of any of the characters on the show. She likes her family, she likes apples, she likes working on the farm, she's honest, she loves her friends. That's kind of what we get from her. But so far in this season, she just seems to be apples, 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 apples. The stereotype, the joke the fandom made about her, that seems to be her personality. With the exception of Pinkie Apple Pie, she seems to be the apple pony. Three's a crowd. What's she doing? Giving apples to Fluttershy. The opening of Bats summed it up perfectly. She kicks the tree and then does a dance as she's surrounded by apples, as she's in paradise with all the apples falling around her. They did a similar thing here in simple ways. It seems like the majority of her appearances have involved apples in some way, shape, or form. She's the apple pony. In prior seasons, this wasn't necessarily true. Yes, she's always done stuff relating to apples, but she at least could make substantial appearances that didn't involve apples. And then there's Rarity. I believe Rarity has some of the greatest depth of any character on the show. Showcased very well in Sweet and Elite, she has this conflicting tendency in her between her rural roots and her desire to get into high society. These are practically contradictory, and she is torn between them. That's great character depth there. Anyone who says Rarity doesn't have any character depth should answer this question. Why does Rarity live in Ponyville? She stated in the first episode she wants to live in Canterlot. We know she can find gems, and we know gems are worth tons of money, so why does she live in Ponyville? She can afford to live wherever she wants, and it's certainly doing her career no favors to live in a rural area that's looked down upon by high society. Why does she live in Ponyville? So, Rarity does have, I would say, great character depth. But this season, she has had almost no character depth. She has been, at least prior to this episode, the fashion pony. In almost all of her appearances, and perhaps all of her appearances prior to this episode, her role was fashion. Three's a crowd. Oh, here, Fluttershy, here's a lovely scarf. Rainbow Falls. I made lovely outfits for our team. Of course, Murray Takes Manhattan was all about fashion. I mean, in prior seasons, she had fashion-based episodes, and there's nothing wrong with fashion-based episodes. But in prior seasons, there had been episodes such as Sweet and Elite and A Dog and Pony Show had fashion as kind of the underpinning. It was a way to get the ball rolling. It wasn't the focus of the episode. But this season, that's all she's done. There have been no sisterhood socials this season. Nothing that is giving her any kind of a characterization outside of fashion. She is the fashion pony. However, like I said, that was true prior to this episode. This episode wasn't per se concerned with fashion. Instead, it was boys. So, to be fair, Rarity no longer is the fashion pony, she's now the girly pony. She's all about fashion and boys. I'm not sure if that's a step up or a step down in terms of characterization, but I'd still say it's not a good thing. She's gone from a, I'd say, very detailed character with great depth to character who's, well, a caricature. She's the girly pony who likes girly things. Yes, Rarity is the most girly of the cast, but I wouldn't say that's her only personality trait. And I don't think this is limited to just those two. It seems to have happened to Pinkie as well. Now, to be fair, Pinkie's episodes have been very good about making her have depth. I'd say they're some of the best episodes of the season. But any time where she isn't the focus of the episode, she seems more like a caricature of Pinkie Pie than actually Pinkie Pie. The most egregious example of this, at least in my opinion, is in Three's a Crowd, where she bursts in celebrating on sale used patio furniture, goes running behind Fluttershy's train yelling, "We'll never forget you!" and then gets distracted by balloons twice, including once where her friends need her help. That's not Pinkie Pie. Pinkie Pie isn't a ditz who's all about fun. She does have intelligence, and she isn't just easily distracted by stuff. Yes, she's fun-loving, but she's a pony you can kind of rely upon when need be. She will not abandon her friends just because a balloon floats by. I think a lot of people have been saying her humor has seemed forced this season, and I'll agree with that. I thought the just for no reason party in Daring Don't was kind of a stretch, and obviously Three's a Crowd was pretty bad, so Pinkie, when she's not the focus, has been kind of a caricature of that party pony. And I don't think this is as true for the others, but we haven't seen as much of them. Rainbow seems more or less to be her former self, though I've never thought she had great character depth. Twilight has kind of been actually a non-entity this season. A couple appearances have suggested she might be falling prey to becoming a caricature of herself. In particular, of course, she has a book on goof-offs, and she's not scared of the castle because she read a book on the stuff. So it's too early to tell. I think Twilight Time will tell us a lot more. So far, we don't have enough to say for sure, but there's some reason to doubt. And then Fluttershy's been really a non-presence this season. Her one episode, really she spent most of it as a bat, so it really wasn't about Fluttershy. So it's really hard to say for Fluttershy whether she's a caricature. So it's particularly egregious with Pinkie Pie, Rarity, and Applejack. But it's potentially happening for the others as well. That they're becoming caricatures, that they are losing their depth that they had, that they're becoming more stereotyped, that they're becoming less developed characters. And I think this is a bad thing for the show. The show's strength, in my opinion, has always been the depth of characters, and I don't think the characters have shown great depth this season. Now hopefully they're going to change this, hopefully the characters will regain their depth, but I'm concerned. Now, I don't want to be a downer here. That's not my intent. My intent is not to get you to say, "Oh, their show sucks, man. I'm leaving the fandom." No. But a concern I've noticed, and I just want to share it. If you disagree, I'm more than happy to hear your point of view. I'd love to. I'd love to get a different take. If you think the characters are well-rounded, well-defined, great. Please leave a comment. I welcome it. I'd love to get a different take on it. Maybe I'm being unfair here. Maybe I'm overly biased. I don't know. So I welcome an alternative take. So please feel free to leave a comment. Until next episode, have a wonderful day. Thank you.